The delicious secrets of Australia's bush tucker, ancient food with modern flavor. Alright mate, buckle up because we're heading deep into the Aussie outback, not for a survival mission, but for a taste adventure that's been thousands of years in the making. We're talking about indigenous bush food, bush tucker, the real deal superfoods of Australia, long before kale and chia seeds were cool. Now before you imagine a kangaroo tossing a salad or an emu roasting yams on a fire pit, let's get one thing straight, this isn't your average cooking show. Bush food is the OG cuisine of the continent, developed and perfected by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples over tens of thousands of years. That's a lot of time to perfect a recipe. You think your grandma's curry is good? Multiply her experience by 400 generations and you've got yourself a bush tucker master chef. So what exactly is bush tucker? Well, it's a catch-all term for the native Australian plants, fruits, nuts, seeds, and meats traditionally used by indigenous communities for food, medicine, and cultural practices. This isn't just about taste, it's about connection to the land, sustainability, and wisdom passed down like precious heirlooms. Let's start with a classic, the witchetty grub. Now if you just gagged a little, relax. It's basically the outback's version of a sausage roll. This plump, protein-packed larva lives in the roots of acacia bushes and was, and still is, a crucial source of nutrition for desert-dwelling Aboriginal groups. Raw, it tastes like almonds. Cooked, it's said to taste like scrambled eggs with a crunchy outside. Look, if Bear Grylls can eat one and live to write a book, you can survive a description. And don't knock it till you've tried it. These little guys are like the multivitamin of the bush. Protein, fat, energy. The ancient energy bar. Imagine the marketing slogan, witchetty grubs. Fuel your dream time. Next up, Kakadu plum. This little green fruit is the Beyoncé of bush food, famous, fabulous, and full of vitamin C. In fact, it has 100 times more vitamin C than an orange. It's been used not just as a food but also as medicine by indigenous groups in northern Australia. This plum doesn't just boost your immune system, it could punch a cold in the face. But the fun doesn't stop there. There's lemon myrtle, which smells like a spa day and tastes like citrus sunshine. This plant is used in teas, cooking, and even desserts. That's right, desserts. Who needs a lemon tart when you can have lemon myrtle cheesecake? And if you're still imagining bush food as bland survival rations, I urge you to rethink your life choices. Let's not forget the macadamia nut. Bet you didn't know this fancy, expensive nut found in your hipster granola actually originated in Australia and was eaten by Aboriginal people long before it was being sprinkled on overpriced acai bowls. Indigenous Australians knew how to crack open those hard shells and savor the rich, buttery treasure inside. Meanwhile, the rest of the world was still figuring out how to boil a potato. Then there's quandong or native peach. This bright red fruit is tangy, sweet, and high in antioxidants. It's like nature's sour candy. Aboriginal people used it for nutrition and the seeds were used in games and jewelry. Yes, multi-use fruit. The Apple iPhone of the bush tucker world. Let's head to the bush tomato, another classic. Don't confuse it with your average garden variety tomato. These are intense, sun-dried flavor bombs used in sauces and chutneys. It's like the bush's version of a sun-dried tomato, except it slaps harder than an angry cockatoo. And speaking of chutneys, bush food today isn't just for traditional use, it's made a comeback in gourmet circles. Fancy restaurants are now serving kangaroo with pepperberry glaze and crocodile sliders with finger lime aioli. Indigenous-owned food businesses are blending ancient ingredients with modern cooking to create absolute masterpieces. It's fusion but with actual meaning and cultural depth. Let's talk about finger limes, tiny citrus caviar that explode in your mouth like fruity fireworks. Each little pearl is packed with juice and flavor. They're colorful, refreshing, and basically the popping candy of the rainforest. Also, if you want to impress a date, just sprinkle these bad boys on oysters. Bam, bush food meets fine dining. Just don't say you learned that from me. We can't forget the meats either. While kangaroo and emu might sound unusual if you're used to chicken nuggets and fish fingers, these native animals are lean, sustainable, and deeply embedded in indigenous diets. Kangaroo, for instance, is high in iron and protein and low in fat. Plus, they don't need to be farmed, they're wild harvested, meaning less impact on the environment. Mother Earth approves. Bush honey is another beauty. Collected from native bees, especially the tiny stingless sugarbag bee, this honey is rich, tangy, and medicinal. It's not just for toast, it's been used to treat wounds and sore throats. So the next time you're sick, forget cough syrup. Grab some bush honey and make your immune system dance. Let's sprinkle in some bunya nuts, massive pine cones that drop from bunya trees with nuts inside. These were so important that indigenous groups would travel hundreds of kilometers to attend bunya nut festivals. Think of it as Coachella, but with more nuts and less Instagram. The nuts could be roasted, boiled, or made into a kind of bread. And probably without a single gluten-free complaint in sight. But bush food isn't just about taste, it's about tradition, ceremony, and sustainability. Aboriginal food systems are built on an intimate understanding of the land. Every plant, every animal, every season has its role. Food isn't just harvested, it's respected. It's not taken, it's given with care and gratitude. Today, bush food is also becoming a way to reconnect with indigenous culture, identity, and community. Native food businesses, run by indigenous entrepreneurs, are popping up across Australia, educating the public while supporting traditional knowledge systems. It's not just a trend, it's a movement. Of course, there's also humor in bush food. Picture this. A city bloke out in the bush, sees a green ant trail and decides to follow it. Little does he know green ants are edible and actually quite zesty. Crunchy, tangy, and full of surprise. He pops one in his mouth and screams, "Lemon sherbet with legs." Accurate. Delicious. Hilarious. And don't get me started on trying to roast a witchetty grub over an open fire without it exploding. Let's just say, wear safety goggles. But hey, that's half the fun of bush cooking. You never know if you're making dinner or creating a science experiment. Bush tucker isn't just food. It's knowledge, storytelling, medicine, history, culture, ecology, and survival, all rolled into a beautifully roasted yam or a spicy pepperberry. And the best part? It's still alive. Still growing. Still teaching. So the next time you're walking through the Australian bush, try to see it through indigenous eyes. That leaf could be tea. That fruit could save your life. That ant could season your salad. Welcome to the oldest living culture on Earth, and the tastiest untapped pantry you've ever seen. So, would you try a witchetty grub? What about crocodile spring rolls with bush tomato salsa? Or a native herb sorbet that tastes like the rainforest on a hot day? Let me know in the comments, and if this made you hungry or at least curious, smash that like button harder than a magpie in nesting season.